at a really important turning point in my life's journey to fulfillment.
You becoming a lesbian?
Charles is having an affair with his secretary.
We are not getting a divorce.
Listen, everybody's situation is different, honestly. When my husband started cheating on me, you know, it wasn't that big a deal, really. The kids were all grown up.
Do you find me attractive?
Are you trying to get me in more trouble?
You lying piece of garbage! Where were you, huh?
That was a look at a new movie called Sex, Marriage, and Infidelity. The movie was shot mostly in Houston, but was made to look like it was filmed in New York City. Some scenes were shot there. When you see this movie, you might recognize one of the actors. Welcome, Houstonian Caroline Tudor. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Welcome back home, because you live in LA now.
I know, it feels good to be home.
All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about this movie in just a second. But first, just kind of growing up here, modeling and acting kind of came about, I say accidentally, but there's nothing by accident.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, obviously everything happens for a reason, but it was never really in my main game plan. I didn't really know what I wanted to do at the age of 15. I remember I was just walking around in the Galleria one day shopping with friends, and someone in a black Page Park shirt came up to me and asked if I wanted to come by. You know, so I just got scouted that way, and my mom came with me to my first meeting there, and I think she could tell that the people at that agency were really wholehearted and sweet and cared about the people they represented, and so she and my dad just decided this could be a good time if you're interested, and Houston's such a good, safe, wholesome city that it would be a great way for you to get introduced to the
modeling
field,
world,
and
yeah.
so yeah, I kind of stumbled upon it that way, and then it wasn't until my agents at Page Parks asked if I was interested in acting that I really kind of gave it a try.
Yeah.
So right, I kind of stumbled upon it.
You know, and even though you've landed some good roles, like the first movie you did was what was the name of that movie?
Well, the first project I had was Mortal Kombat, which was kind of a web series based off of the video game. And
so you call home and say, hey, I have a part in Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Okay, honey.
All of these titles have been really
what was
interesting.
Psycho, something?
Secrets of a Psychopath.
Yeah, right. And that's the other one that I got to roll in now.
I know. Well, I guess my parents were kind of like, at least they're interesting and she can do a lot with the roles. And, you know, at the beginning of your career, you kind of take what you can get. It's all about building the resume and your reel and getting as much experience as possible, kind of like any job.
Yeah.
So you don't really turn them down based on the names.
There are a lot of folks who say that's what they would love to do, but they don't even bother trying because they kind of get discouraged right away by the fact that it is very competitive, the fact that you might have to move and be someplace and work another job until you can get what it is that you want. What do you have to say to a lot of those people who walk away from dreams like that?
Well, you know, I'm sticking with acting right now because my biggest fear is to look back later in my life and think, what if?
Yeah.
You know, I really could have done it, and I believe in myself, and of course the job is weird and hard and such an odd schedule. You don't really have like a normal concrete schedule in your life, and you don't have a boss telling you what to do.
You don't really hang out with a lot of actors. You hang out with your friends from college who went the conventional jobs,
right,
and so they're at work all day.
And even if they're in the entertainment industry, unless you're acting, you have a more regular schedule.
Yeah.
You know, you work in an office, you're there from a certain hour to a certain hour, and they have regular income, and they get their checks twice a month, and, you know, hopping from job to job and hoping that you'll land something soon is a hard way to support yourself, and luckily my parents have been really supportive of me, so I can understand why people wouldn't try, but
or get discouraged.
Yeah, it's really easy to get discouraged. I mean, it's no 99% of the time, and you're kind of told that going into it.
Yeah, and you have to be a go-getter because you got to find where those auditions are. Sometimes people will call you, but you got to be on the lookout for a lot of these things.
Yes, for sure. And it's hard to find representation in LA because so many people are out there doing it. That's where you have to be to do it. So I understand why it's scary, and I understand why someone would say maybe I should do something more practical with my life, but to me, the biggest fear is thinking what if, and I really don't want to.
All right, Sex, Marriage, and Infidelity. So you call home and go, yes, I got a new movie part.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. But, you know, it's one of those things that a lot of grown-ups can certainly relate to any one of those categories. Tell us about the movie.
So the movie was a really cool kind of romantic comedy, kind of based on something that reminded me a little bit of a Woody Allen film. It's about different adult relationships kind of overlapping and, you know, people straying from their partner, but then kind of rekindling and finding love at the end again. So it's funny. I mean, you would think that it sounds really dramatic, but it's kind of about, you know, midlife crises and learning how to re-love someone again. And so it's funny, and it has happy endings for the most part. And
And at the end of the day, it sounds like, too, it could be therapeutic, because sometimes, you know, these serious things that we take too seriously, maybe. And then you have to stop for a minute and see where you are and be able to breathe and be able to laugh.
Right. And, you know, I'm pretty young, but my character was, you know, early 30s. I'm 24. So it was interesting to kind of read the script and look at these adult marriages and, you know, at these different chapters of these people's lives that I'm not necessarily in right now. But it was cool. The script was really funny. Exactly. That's the point, is to create a new life that isn't necessarily yours. So it was great. It was really fun, and it was great to be able to work in Houston. And my family still lives here, even though I'm living in LA right now. So it was awesome not to have to, you know, be sleeping in uncomfortable beds. Exactly. It was good to be able to go home.
Well, speaking of, say good morning to your parents.
Hi, Mom and Dad. Hi, everyone.
And your parents are some of the city's biggest philanthropists. And, it's, you know, when you see that growing up, it's one of those things that's a seed in you, and that seed is starting to sprout. You're getting involved in some great philanthropic work out in L.A.
Right. So right now I just was on the committee for UNICEF's Next Generation fundraiser called the Halloween Masquerade Ball. And this was only the second annual one. They did the first one last year, but this was my first time being involved in it. And I mean, with acting, you can really either be really busy or you can just have a lot of time on your hands. And I was kind of going through a period where I had way too much time on my hands. And my mom was like, honey, volunteer, do something with your time that can really teach you a lesson. And so this was great. I learned a lot about fundraising and putting on events, and God, that is so much harder than I thought it was going to be. And my parents are like, asking for money from people is not easy, even if it's for a good cause. So I learned a lot, and great networking. I met a lot of cool people. I was definitely the youngest by far on the committee, so it was cool to see these other people working.
Great to have you back home.
Thank you so
and great
much.
to see you
Happy to
finding
be here.
your success.
Thank you.
For more details on the new film, Sex, Marriage, and Infidelity, just log on to GreatDayHouston.com.